Good day and welcome to the Inside Out Perspective. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so by clicking the button below. And those of you who would like to support our ministry here in the Western Cape of Southern Africa, please go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Inside Out Perspective. And I want to thank you in advance. I didn't want to do this, but I think it's important that I bring this up. And this is the verbal abuse coming from Yasir Qadi in regard to David Wood, Dan Brubeck and Jay Smith's claims and his inability to answer his questions. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because those of you involved in apologetics or polemics towards Muslims or evangelism towards Muslims will find that this is a very, very common thing which Muslims employ. As soon as they get their back up against the wall, they come out with verbal abuse, with no defense for their prophet or their book. And this is the red line which Yasir Qadi mentioned, that red line which Muslims refuse to go through. And this is also relates to the dilemma at Yale when scholars who aren't scared of the red line started asking the hard questions where Muslims refused to answer. And I was thinking, why is it that we have this human nature of defending a false claim? And I thought about it, and a good example of this is on our last trip coming back from the Northern Cape. We went through a small town which is known for the traffic officers and speed traps, and I missed it. And before I knew it, there was the traffic cop pulling us over, and I got a fine, a small fine, because I was only 2 kilometers over the speed limit, but not to worry. It was an offense anyway, according to our law. But as we pulled away with fine in hand, David said to me, but you know, they can't pull you over in a yellow line because it's dangerous. And we went into this discussion trying to defend why we should not have got the fine. But the key problem here is, if we're honest and truly honest, the fact is I was speeding. It doesn't matter whether the calibration of the equipment was done correctly or we stopped in a yellow line or whatever. We can come up with what I've termed the Islamic gymnastics to try and get around the truth. But the truth is, I was speeding and it has a consequence. And in this case, the consequence was a small fine I needed to pay. So why is it that Muslims refuse to answer the hard questions, those questions which go above the red line? And the truth is, then the Quran tells us that you may not answer questions because it leads to unbelief. What? Don't ask the questions about the revelation because it leads to unbelief. And this is the truth of the matter. When you get honest and you look at the scenario and you answer the hard questions, it leads to your salvation through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and not Muhammad. Let me give you an example where I've presented this argument to Muslims and they've failed to even offer any kind of valid answer. And my question here is Islam an Abrahamic faith? They claim to follow Abraham according to the Quran. Yet when we have a look at the multitude of prophets in Islam, we find that it goes from Adam to Lot to Abraham to Moses to Solomon to David and then to Jesus Christ. That's the line of David, where the genealogies are given in Matthew and Luke. But what happens with Islam? Islam gets to Abraham, and then all of a sudden it splinters off and follows the bloodline of Ishmael. And if they're following the bloodline of Ishmael, and that is the bloodline from which Muhammad comes through, why are there no prophets following that same bloodline? You see, Moses, which is mentioned over 50 times as a prophet in the Quran, follows the line of David and comes after Abraham. So if the genealogy of Islam is through Muhammad as the last and final prophet, how is Moses all of a sudden a prophet of Islam? Because it's the wrong bloodline. I mean, J. Smith is just asking Yasir Qadi simply, what is the dilemma and the problems you had with your faith while you were at Yale? The other question J. Smith is asking Yasir Qadi is, if you had to write the Quran down, what would it be today? And would it be the same as Uthman's? And what it seems from that debate is that it won't be. Yet, they're scared to answer. And why? Because they're going to have to confront the truth. And that truth would lead them to their salvation in Jesus Christ. So the default is, let's rather abuse and come up with terms like Islamophobic and hatred towards Christians rather than address the truth. So I leave you with this final question. What race are you running?